So that's what we're talking about. That's kind of to set the scene, and I did go a little bit over, so I'll have to move a little bit quicker here. But now we want to get into the foundational model. So we take all these pieces, all of this talk of strategy, and kind of create that filter of strategy, but also that opportunity and say these are the missing bullets, kind of thing. This is where I need to put the armor to be able to move forward and understand these opportunities as well. So let's get into the model. So how do we overcome the challenge of online? We need to understand the outcome, right? The belief, the fix, as well as the resistance or obstacle in order to get past it. And what I was showing you earlier is what's fundamental here. It's the triangle. It's the delta symbol. Why? Because it looks good and it's very simple. So if we can simplify it into these any three elements, we'll be able to move forward as well. And I'm going to show you how these all fit together. The first one is your ultimate call to action, right? So at the heart of this, what is that? And I'm going to be asking you that. So maybe start thinking a little bit about that right now. What is your ultimate call to action? Your promise. And I get that terminology from marketing. I've obviously done a fair bit of that as well. So we want to understand what's that ultimate goal? What's that promise? What's that big, hairy, audacious goal for you and your business? What is that ultimate value that you're providing to your audience? Now there's the three obstacles, and I'm going to get into these shortly. Specifically, I talked about them briefly, and I'm going to go through a lot of different layers in terms of how do we actually see these and how do we overcome them and that sort of thing as well. So it's really important that we understand that, guess what, if we can categorize them, if we can put them into these three buckets of obstacle 1, 2, and 3, we can actually move forward as well. And then finally, what we're going to do is we're going to put a fix onto each one of these. So we have our ultimate call to action. That's our goal, right? That's our destination. Things are going to get in the way. These are the barriers. These are the roadblocks. These are the construction detours along the way. And then this is how we actually fix it as well. So we need to be able to have these three pieces so that we can actually build ourselves a quick and easy roadmap as well. So let's dive a little bit into the top three obstacles. So I'll start over here. The journey I'm taking is from A, B, C, obviously. Fundamentally, it comes down to obstacle 1 being a fractured strategy in execution. And this typically is our foundation. And sometimes we don't have all these pieces together at the same time, right? You might have them, they might be scattered around, but do we have these put together specifically for the providing our solution, rather solving the problem of our audience and our customer? Obstacle number 2 is too much friction to implement and respond as well. So again, this is where we look at the technology, the pieces that enable us to be able to deliver our value. And then the third obstacle is fragmented messaging and delivering. And this fundamentally comes down to how do we actually connect and communicate with our clients, with our customers. So we take it in those three pieces. So let's take a look at this in terms of obstacle number 1, fractured strategy and execution. So it feels like things are broken, right, between online and offline, or what is being done online. It doesn't feel connected or continuous. This can show up as no sales, no processes, or a rocky journey. It's stop and start, and you're not sure what you're doing or where you're going, kind of thing. And guess what? People can see that. Your audience can see that. Obstacle number 2 is too much friction to implement and respond, right? So resistance to moving forward with a plan or being uncertain of what to do. Feels like there's no compatibility or that something is slowing you down. And as a lot of us, myself included, sometimes you try to move the car and the parking brake's on, and it's like, why? What's this? What's going on? It doesn't feel like it's moving. And then you look down, it's like, oh shoot, I left the parking brake on. So it kind of something that you feel is slowing down, but you can't yet put a finger on. That's really important to be able to see how we can actually overcome that. So this shows up when you're, getting ahead of yourself. You've got a limited strategy. You don't know where that next step is coming from. You don't know what technology you're going to be using, but also your mindset and the mechanics of the choices that you make or the choices that you don't make. If you don't know, you don't know, right? And that's where the digital leadership comes into play. Do you know enough to be able to move that to that next step as well? And then finally, obstacle number 3 is fragmented messaging and delivery. So this is small pieces that don't seem to work very well together. It doesn't feel like it's working in unison. It's like the engine is sputtering and it's making noise, or when you put on the accelerator up a hill, it kind of chugs a little bit as well. It's not a well-running machine, right? Not a well-running engine. It shows up as seemingly disparate landing pages, and your digital assets are a little bit mixed up. They're good, but they're not kind of connected. There's no overall campaign strategy as structure as well. So these are really important. So again, this is how I see these problems and what kind of groupings we can do, and then how are they affecting it. We're going to, again, dive into a little bit more in this as well. So in terms of fractured strategy and execution, these are some of the specific things that I've seen and that I've helped businesses with as well. So not always being organized, no real structure to rely on, confusion as to what button to push, overwhelm on what to do, deciding on what to do next, knowing where you want to go, not always having clarity with direction, and that's a big one. Again, we just do it, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what a lot of business is. It's just bloody well doing it, getting it done. Right, but we can still go forward doing that. But that's more of a tactical thing. If you're doing that strategically, you're not going to get to your destination as well. So too much friction to implement and respond. So this is what I call unconfidence in overall skills and competencies. We don't know which button to press. And I said that jokingly at the beginning of this session too. It's like there are a lot of buttons to push, and if you forget one, then whatever, people can't hear you, or you're not actually showing up, or you're not going live. So we need to kind of practice, and we need to be able to do this, but we need to know what button to push as well, and how to do it, and how to use that technology to support us in that role. Not reliable results, little resources in alignment, wasting time, wasting money, little trust. You don't know who can I actually trust in this industry as well, or hard selling, like your sell type thing. So that's what we got to look out for. And then fragmented messaging and deliveries. It's uninspiring because of the uncertainty. If the bus driver doesn't know where the bus is going, if you're getting on that bus, you're going to go, where's this guy going? Like, I don't remember seeing that park or those buildings. So we have to have that certainty that we know where we're taking our customer, right? Because they're looking at us as, are you the bus driver? Or are you just some guy who hopped on the bus and into the driver's seat? So, we can kind of poke fun at that, but fundamentally that's what we need to be able to do is say, hey, I'm the bus driver. I'm going to take you to this destination. And if you can't tell that person that, if you can't say, I'm going to take you, in my case, your ultimate developing your growth pathway strategy, which is my call to action, you're not on that bus. Or if I can't say that clearly, you might get on a different bus. So we need to be clear in that. I need to tell you exactly it is where we're going, right? I'm going to help you create your growth pathway strategy, your roadmap. That's the bus that we're on. So if you want to come on this bus, guess what? The door's open. We're leaving soon. So we need to be very, very clear how we do that to be able to create the impact, to be able to create traction, and be able to create conversions as well. So just to kind of recap, these are how we see things. These are the fixes then that we're going to get into as well. From these obstacles, if we have a plan, we can obviously move forward. We can understand what these pieces need to be and how they need to be put in place. So let's just quickly go over an overview again. So what's the ultimate goal here? Again, what's your ultimate call to action? What's your promise? In my case, it's creating that growth pathway strategy for businesses to succeed online. Okay, very simple, very clear. Is that the bus that you want to get on? Cool. That's why you've come to watch this too, is that, hey, this is the bus that I want to look at, or at least, investigate, see what route they take type thing. May not be ready, may not be good timing for you, but at the end of the day, you want to see what is it that I need to be able to do? How can I get people onto my bus? How can I move people forward as well? We have these obstacles. Number 1, fractured strategy and execution. Obstacle number 2, too much friction to implement and respond. And obstacle number 3, fragmented messaging and delivery. This shows up as being disorganized and directionless, confusion and overwhelming, wasting time, money, and resources, no trust, no loyalty, little traction or impact, and uninviting and uninspiring as well. Now, what did I say we needed? We need fixes, okay? It's great to talk about problems, but guess what? I'm not a psychologist or a psychotherapist. So we need to say, how do we actually overcome these problems in business? I'm not a psychologist, if you haven't figured that out already. But what are the fixes? How are we going to solve this problem? What's super important here? And how are we able to do that? Well, fix number one is what I call persuasive positioning, being capable to create and capture new demand. And fundamentally, this is a strategic foundation point of view. This is the first thing we need to look at. And there are 3 steps out of each of these fixes as well. So we're going to have a matrix of 9 pieces of significance that will allow you to create your roadmap. So keep that in mind as we continue to expand this model. So our first fix, again, is persuasive positioning. How are we creating that capability to create and capture new demand for our audience? How are we thinking strategically? How are we developing our strategy mindset to be able to understand how do we connect this? How do we create those foundations? How do we understand the journey of transformation? How do we create this monetization as well, which a lot of businesses seem to simply forget or use as an afterthought? How do we then also unlock our expertise and our zone of genius to be able to say, I can take you on this journey. I'm the bus driver, I'm the pilot, I'm whatever. I'm going to take you on this journey as we get into it as well. Our second fix, so for obstacle number 2, too much friction to implement and respond, sometimes seen as wasting time, money, and resources, or no trust and no loyalty. This is what I call tenacious targeting. And this is the confidence to deploy uncontested market space, right? We need to be able to utilize our technology, our tactics to be able to get in touch with our customer. We need to look at how can we use the data that we're delivering. How can we use that data to help them in that journey of transformation? How can we use the data to understand who they are and what they're doing, and how do we connect with them and that sort of thing? So this fix is fundamentally focused on that technology, right? Using data, using your toolkit, your digital toolkit, using a tech stack, knowing when to use these tools and when not to use them, understanding how they work together, so that you don't necessarily have to spend all your money up front to get these subscriptions that you never actually use. And there's a reason why you don't use them, and that's because your business is not ready for them. You're not ready. You can buy these fantastic platforms that do everything, but unless you have that strategy, unless you have that understanding of that business journey over here, it's going to fall on its face, and you're going to be wasting your money. And we also need to look at, how do we automate some of this stuff? How do we make it easier for us, for our business? We want to focus on the business, right? We don't want to, focus on the minutia, the small little things that basically we can automate. How do we do that? We need to understand that as well. And then the third fix is what I call connected and craving clients. So being compelling to make competition irrelevant. So when the obstacle is having a fragmented messaging and delivery, the fix is, how do we understand better our customer journey? And I talked about creating the remarkable digital experience worth remembering. That's what this is. There's a couple of aspects of that. It's how do we create this environment that's alluring, inviting, and engaging? How do we create these digital assets and these foundations that bring people back about the experience? That's why people are going to come back. So even if they're buying bread and milk and cheese, like, how do we kind of create that opportunity for that experience around those products? What else can we add to that to allow us to make that click count so we're able to engage your audience? And then how do we create these remarkable and enchanting and immersive digital experiences as well? So what's important there in terms of how do we actually understand what it is that we're delivering and that experience around it? That's absolutely critical here. So this might look a little bit big and messy, but you know what? The first time you unfold a map, what does it look like? It looks kind of big and messy. It's like, I want to go here and here, but there's all this information in the middle, and I don't know what to do with it. That's kind of a similar thing. So as we build this roadmap, and we're going to be getting into that very, very shortly, we need to understand these steps. So within each of these elements, persuasive positioning, tenacious targeting, our fixes of connected and craving clients, we need to know that there are specific steps within that as well. And in each case, there are 3 to keep it easy and to keep it fit into our Delta model as well. And I talked about these previously, but for persuasive positioning. What do we need to be able to do here? We need to know how to create an amazing customer journey of transformation. We need to understand how to deliver irresistible value and monetization. And we need to know how do we unlock expertise, your expertise rather, in your zone of genius as well. So we need to tick these onto our roadmap journey to say, hey, these are the road stops. These are the road stations that we need to be able to go to get to where we're going. And traveling through Australia and Canada too, for that matter, is a lot of times the distances are very, very far between petrol stations. So you need to plan. And when the sign says, 500 kilometers until the next gas or petrol, guess what? You stop. So these are those road stations, those road stops to say, hey, guess what? I need to take time out to tick that box. I've got food, I've got water, I've got fuel, I've got an empty bladder, kind of thing. So it's really important that we look at these are the pieces of that journey. So we want to build persuasive positioning. How do we do that? We create a journey of transformation. We understand how to deliver and monetize our irresistible value. And we need to know, how do we actually get that stuff out of our head, unlock our genius to understand what it is that we want to do. Make sense? This is going to come into play in terms of a matrix, which I'll show you how to use as well. In terms of tenacious targeting, right? What's really important? How do we actually do that? Thanks, Doyle, for these great ideas, but how do I actually do that? This is how you do it, okay? This is how you create tenacious targeting to create that confidence to deploy uncontested market space. Road stop number 4 is develop magnetic measurement to decide with your data. So that's what I was talking about. We need to be able to understand, how do we use this data to understand our customer, to know what they do and what they want and how they want to get it, and what is their ultimate, thing that they're looking for as well. We need to look at your obtaining and delivering your precision digital toolkit and your tech stack. So how do we use it? What pieces do we need? What pieces don't we need as well? Remember the missing bullets. Like we might miss it if we kind of don't look at it properly, and we don't need to have everything all at once. We don't need to put armor around the whole airplane, because guess what? Planes can't be that heavy. So if we had an armor-plated plane, it's never going to make it very far. So we have to be very selective in our solutions as well. And then number 6, road stop number 6, is fortify your omnipresent automations. So this is being able to say, how do we create those interactions, those engagements, those pieces that tie your digital platforms together as well. And then finally, connected and craving clients. Like, yeah, that's great, but how do I do that? What are the specific road stops? Well, there's a 3 for these as well. We want to be able to create an alluring and inviting and engaging environment. We want to demonstrate your tantalizing digital assets and foundations, right? We need to show off what you have. We need to be able to present it in a manner that allows them to give you that traction and looks inviting and looks inspiring in that regard as well. And we need to design immersive and digital experiences. Actually, I forgot the one. Number 8, demonstrate your tantalizing digital assets and foundations. Number 9, design immersive and enchanting digital experiences as well. So we need to have these pieces to tick off on our checklist to say, this is what I need, right? This is something I can grab a hold of and I can do. These are the specifics that are going to form the foundation of this roadmap. And again, we're going to put this into a cool little matrix coming up that'll allow you to do that. This is the matrix. So we need to be able to understand, okay, out of these 3 stops along the way, these are the 3 things that I need to do for my business. Okay, I'm kind of presenting the framework, but we're going to have to dive a little bit deeper here as well. And that's what we're going to be doing very, very shortly into this as well. So these 9 pieces then come together into something as simple as a roadmap. Okay, a simple, easy to understand, step by step by step piece of the puzzle. Okay, so no longer do we have to worry about all this information in the map outside of our peripheral vision. We can just focus in on our specific steps along the way that we need to follow, that we need to develop, that we need to be able to understand as well. So we've simplified it quite dramatically to say, okay, well, what's important? Well, as I said, step number 1 is looking at our persuasive positioning. Okay, what's important here? How are we creating that foundation? How are we able to capture new demand as well? And we've got the 3 road stops along the way, right? Our amazing customer journey of transformation, creating that irresistible value and monetization, and unlocking our zone of expertise and our genius as well. That's the first step, right? The second step, we got to look at tenacious targeting. And how do we do that? Well, as I said, tantalizing responses with data. We need to understand how that data fits together, how that works, what we can use, how do we actually leverage that information as well. We need to be able to develop our precision digital toolkit in our tech stack so that we're able to put these pieces together and they work consistently as well. And we need to look and understand our omnipresent automations and our stunning streamlining, right? Making sure that we have some of this technology that allows us to hand it off to get jobs done in a different manner as well. So if we can have those pieces, then yes, we're able to build that piece of the roadmap as well. And then finally, the third stage was connected and craving clients, right? How do we get there? Well, we need to create that alluring environment. We need to create those tantalizing assets, and we need to create the enchanting digital experience. So as you can see, we kind of narrow it down, but also expanded it. So we've been able to create these specific pieces of the puzzle to say, this is the specific step along the way. And when we're able to unroll that, what do we get? We actually get a roadmap that says, I need to do this first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth. So it's simple, right? Easy peasy. No, it's still going to take some work, let's be completely honest. But at least if you can see how it fits together, that's going to be fun.